Where on earth are you? Your child is in danger. I shouted into the phone at my son on a scorching hot day. His car was parked in my driveway without my noticing. Inside the vehicle, where the temperature exceeded 105 degrees Fahrenheit, was my limp 2-year-old grandchild. What could my son and his wife be doing during this critical situation? We're on a family vacation right now. But my son answered nonchalantly and quickly hung up. After this, when the unbelievable truth came to light, I made a decision. My name is Susan. Since my husband passed away, I had been living alone. At 60, I had retired from work and was leading a peaceful life. My reason for living was the presence of my son's family who lived nearby. My 34-year-old son Adam was married to Lindsay, who was a year younger, and they lived with their 2 children, 5-year-old Madison and 2-year-old Christian. We had built a very good relationship. They would invite me along when they went out, or I would invite them over for meals. Seeing them so happy always gave me energy. However, triggered by a certain event, shadows began to appear in their peaceful daily life. Mom! Madison finally did it. It happened one Sunday when my son's family came to visit. As soon as they entered the house, Adam's eyes were shining with joy as he held a cake box in one hand. You see, my granddaughter Madison had a dream of becoming active in the entertainment industry, aspiring to succeed in acting. Adam and Lindsay, in support of her feelings, had registered her with a talent agency for child actors. And now, it seemed Madison's efforts had finally paid off. She's been cast as the lead in a drama. The director is famous, and all the actors are popular too. She's even being praised as a genius on set. That's my child for you. As I listened to my excited son and daughter-in-law talk, my heart swelled with pride. I knew that Madison had been giving up playing with her friends and busy attending lessons every day to fulfill her dream. There couldn't be anything more joyous than seeing her hard work rewarded. Madison, I'm so happy for you. Your dream has come true. However, the moment I saw her face, I was taken aback. Despite her dream finally coming true, Madison seemed somewhat gloomy. Moreover, upon closer inspection, her brother Christian was also looking down with a dark expression. Is something wrong with you two? You both seem a bit down. Are you nervous because it's an understudy role? You'll feel better after eating some cake. However, Adam and Lindsay didn't even seem to notice them and quickly started setting out the cake they had bought. But there was something odd about this too. Madison likes this strawberry cake, right? Mom, what would you like? I'm fine with anything, but are there only 4 pieces of cake? I tilted my head as I prepared the plates. Including Christian, who was now old enough to eat cake, there were 5 of us, but there was 1 piece of cake missing. Lindsay suddenly glared at Christian with an irritated look. This child had an accident in the toilet this morning. So he's being punished. Christian's shoulders trembled at her fierce tone. It seemed Lindsay was a bit overzealous about education. Additionally, Christian was naturally a mischievous child. I had always thought this trait made him adorably childlike, but it seemed she wanted to do something about it. However, I thought it was too pitiful for him to just sit alone behind us while we ate cake. This is our little secret, okay? In the end, when my son and his wife stepped out, I gave my piece of cake to Christian. Seeing Christian and Madison smile happily at this made me finally feel relieved. Surely, it's just education out of concern for the children, and I shouldn't interfere, but this much should be fine. That's what I thought at the time, but soon after, an event occurred that drastically changed the environment. Following the drama, Madison became a popular child actor. While this was certainly a joyous development, I suppose her entertainment activities kept her busy. Gradually, the frequency of their visits decreased, and I found myself seeing Madison's face more often on screens than in person. Although I felt a bit lonely, I thought it was fine as long as they were doing well. Then, one day, I received a rare phone call from Adam. Madison's getting famous now, so we want to get her a cell phone. Could you buy it as a present for her? Apparently, they wanted to give her a means of communication with her parents and me as she was frequently moving between locations. While I fully agreed with the proposal itself, there was one thing that bothered me. It was none other than Christian. If that's the case, I'll buy something for Christian too. It would be unfair if it's just for Madison. He doesn't need anything. He's really just impossibly selfish. When I said this, my son let out a deep sigh. I couldn't help but frown at his attitude, which was completely different from when he was talking about Madison. You shouldn't say things like that. Christian is a good child too. It might be unavoidable that the environment has suddenly changed and they're focusing on Madison. However, that doesn't mean they should neglect Christian. He's just so much worse compared to Madison. Besides, Mom, it's because you spoil him that he's getting even worse. As soon as I objected, Adam raised his voice significantly. After that, my son continued to express his dissatisfaction with Christian, saying things like, he doesn't listen to his parents, and, if this continues, he won't amount to anything. At first, I was surprised, but as I noticed my son's strained demeanor, I became increasingly worried. This was the first time I had heard him so upset. Maybe Adam is just not used to the new situation yet. Thinking that antagonizing him would be counterproductive, I decided to back down for the time being. In the end, on the condition that we keep it a secret from Christian, I agreed to give Madison a cell phone as a present. I thought I would buy something for Christian when my son's feelings had calmed down. With this increased means of communication with my grandchildren, I decided to watch over them more carefully from now on. However, shortly after this, an incident occurred that completely overturned these feelings. It happened on a scorching hot day, several weeks after I had bought Madison the cell phone. When I went outside to go to the supermarket, I noticed that besides my car, my son's car was also parked in my driveway. Oh my, I don't remember getting any notice about them coming to visit. Moreover, the engine wasn't running, and there was no sign of anyone getting out. Feeling puzzled, I peeked through the window into the car. The next moment, I was shocked by what I saw. Christian. Why are you here? To my horror, Christian was slumped motionless in the passenger seat. The temperature gauge inside the car showed 105 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was clear that he was in a dangerous state. This is terrible. I need to hurry. While panicking, I called for an ambulance and then called my son, who should have the car keys. On this day, even the news was reporting record-breaking heat, but how could they do such a thing in these conditions? Hello? Adam? Where are you? Christian is in danger. My voice was strained with the urgency of the situation. We're on a family vacation right now. We're not there. What do you mean? Christian is right here. Well, he was too noisy, so we couldn't take him along. We dropped him off at your house, so just handle it somehow. To my shock, Adam answered casually and then promptly hung up. Left behind, all I could do was stand there in a daze. Until now, I had thought they were strict with Christian out of concern for him, but this was clearly going too far. What on earth are those children thinking? At that moment, as if timed perfectly, I received an email on my phone. The shocking truth revealed in that message finally made me unable to contain my anger. Early in the morning on the day after this incident occurred, I visited a certain hotel alone. Of course, I wasn't there for leisure. Having learned certain facts, I had a firm purpose that I needed to fulfill. This is absolutely unforgivable. Clenching my fists tightly, I entered the lobby and saw figures relaxing in chairs. After confirming those people from a distance, I strode up to them. What are you doing in a place like this? Suddenly, Adam and Lindsay, who had been chatting, looked at me in surprise. Why is Mom here? Where's Madison? She's still sleeping in the room. We just came back from the spa. Seeing them leisurely enjoying their vacation, my anger reached its peak. How can you two do such a thing? To your own precious child. I shuddered, remembering the horrifying sight I had seen in the car the day before. A few minutes after discovering the limp Christian, an ambulance and rescue team arrived, and somehow he was saved. Fortunately, he survived and there were no after effects, but the doctor said that if he had been discovered any later, he might not have made it. He's in the hospital now, but do you understand what you've done? As someone who has raised children myself, I know that children are always precious, no matter how old they get. To leave them in a dangerous place while enjoying themselves, I couldn't believe this was something humans would do. You're exaggerating. That was just discipline. That's right. If only Christian could do various things like Madison and make things easier for us. He's just noisy. It would be terrible if he caused a fuss at our vacation spot. We're kind parents for just leaving him in front of your house. I let out a big sigh at the two who showed no signs of remorse. It seems that Madison's fame has gone to their heads. I can't leave my grandchildren with a son and daughter-in-law who think like this anymore. By the way, do you know how I knew about this place? Madison told me. The two's eyes widened in shock at my words, probably not expecting her involvement. You see, the email I received when Christian was rescued was sent by Madison from the cell phone I had given her as a present. Moreover, the content was, Christian is in the car. Grandma, please save him quickly. While the parents were treating their children like this, she alone was thinking of her brother. When did she? That's not all she told me. I know everything you've been doing. I stepped closer to my flustered son and showed him my exchanges with Madison. After I informed her of Christian's safety, she began to pour out everything that had been happening. How her parents had been treating them harshly on a daily basis. How if they made even a small mistake, they would be denied meals or hit. Everything Madison told me was far too cruel to be called education. At this point, I made up my mind to bring these two to justice. But the shocking facts didn't end there. It seems Madison didn't enter the entertainment industry of her own will either. And to think you'd say such things to Christian. It turned out that the entertainment activities I had thought were Madison's dream were actually forced upon her by Adam and Lindsay. Madison herself had repeatedly begged to play with her friends at school. Moreover, regarding Christian, they apparently viewed his very existence as a nuisance, saying things like, "It would be better if he disappeared," or "One daughter is enough for us," and treating him harshly on a daily basis. Of course, Madison had been told by her parents to keep quiet about this, but this time she finally couldn't bear it anymore and courageously reached out to me for help. To think you could do such things to your own children, your failures as parents. Once again facing this terrifying reality, I glared at the two with all my might. However, instead of showing remorse, they exchanged glances and displayed a rather unpleasant expression. "Even if you say that, being blamed won't change our minds." That's right. We did drop Christian off, but it would have been easier for us if he had just died there. I watched in disbelief as the two chuckled while having this abominable conversation. I had no intention of forgiving them from the moment I received Madison's message, but if they still thought this way, they needed to be punished even more severely. "I'm sorry, but you won't be able to see your children's faces anymore." "What do you mean?" The son and daughter-in-law, who still didn't understand the situation, looked up with silly grins. "The police are on their way here, and there will be news articles. The public won't stay silent either. I've already consulted with various parties." The next moment, their faces contorted. You see, thinking that they were incapable of raising children, I had reported this series of events to Child Protective Services, the police, Madison's talent agency, and weekly magazines, various quarters. With each agency taking action, this incident would likely be featured in the news soon. The facts I revealed seemed to be a huge blow to Adam and Lindsay, who had been intoxicated with their public image and fame. If something like this happens, how am I supposed to live from now on? My company will find out. That's right. We were able to go on this trip because of Madison's earnings. Don't take the children away from me. I looked at the two with pitying eyes as they stood up, their faces suddenly changing color, a far cry from their composed attitude just moments ago. In the end, they didn't love their children. They only wanted money, status, and fame. Such people have no right to continue being parents to my adorable grandchildren. Accept your punishment quietly. This is all your own doing. As I coldly declared this, it seemed my anger finally got through to them. They stiffened and then hung their heads. In the end, their misdeeds were exposed, and my son and his wife were arrested. Furthermore, Because Madison was famous, television and weekly magazines eagerly covered this news, resulting in their faces being circulated in public as villains. Even if they get out of prison, they'll likely live the rest of their lives being pointed at behind their backs. On the other hand, I ended up taking custody of both grandchildren. Madison, as she wished, retired from the entertainment industry and now enjoys playing with her friends at school. Christian, perhaps because he's in a safe environment now, has started to show a peaceful expression more often. To protect these happy times,